Okay, distinguished spiritual and religious leaders from across Africa, welcome to this webinar organized by the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development. This webinar is called under the theme Ubuntu, a blueprint for interfaith cooperation. We are living in a challenging time across the world. Secular forces are actively working to undermine faith at all levels. Religious freedom is the bedrock of all freedoms. The real challenge is the attitude and reactions of the spiritual and religious leaders when faced by secular forces. They need to strengthen interfaith cooperation is key to encounter and push back against secular forces.
It is a privilege to welcome you on behalf of the chairman of IAPD Africa, Imboni Dr. Uzwileze Khadebe, who is traveling to Korea as we gathered here. Once again, I welcome you to this important gathering as we reflect on the theme of Ubuntu, a theme that speaks not only to our beliefs, but to the very essence of our shared humanity. Today, we are gathered not simply as a representative of different faith and spirituality or traditions, but as a core travelers, seekers, seeking deep understanding, mutual respect, and meaningful collaboration. Each of you bring a wealth of insight, experience, and spiritual richness that will help guide this conversation and inspire action beyond this space. As we engaged in this dialogue, may we do so with open hearts and humble minds. May we listen deeply, speak truthfully, and embrace the opportunity to learn from one another. And may Ubuntu guide us to move beyond tolerance into a true solidarity, where we will actively work together to uplift dignity, to promote peace, and serve the good common goal. Thank you for being part of this shared journey. Your presence online is a testament of the power of unity in diversity. You are most welcome. Thank you.
My presentation is going to be on the 5 principles of peace, which is not specifically, of course, it's for ambassadors for peace, but it is meant for ambassadors for peace to use it as not just philosophy, but ideology that can actually reach out to all people in the world, wherever you are, wherever you belong, whichever country you come from. This principle work for everybody. I'm going to share my screen. But let me, Reverend CBC is here. I'm very impressed, to be very honest. When I read about Ubuntu, I keep on asking myself, I'm happy we are here, who actually introduced this as a philosophy for IAPD? Because when you study it, it took a little bit of time to look at it. When you study it, Ubuntu fits completely into the UPF principles of living for the sake of others. And again, the ideology which today we're all working on, that is interdependence, mutual prosperity, universally shared values. It is very clear. I would like us to actually develop this idea and make it a global principle. And thank God it comes from Africa, Ubuntu. Thank you very much, everybody. Let me share these 5 principles with everybody. I was given very short time, but please, you bear with me as I will try and, push through it as quickly as, as we can. The Universal Peace Federation is developing an alliance of organizations and individuals aligned with core universal principles in order to create a new momentum for peace. And this is based on the 5 principles of Ambassadors for Peace. Why universal principles? This is because universal principles are applicable at all times and in all places. It's established the common ground for cooperation and of diverse peoples, form the basis for universal standards of peaceful behavior. Now, let us try to explore the 5 principles quickly. Universal principles apply in all times and all places. They establish the common ground for a diverse peoples to cooperate. These are the 5 principles which we are going to quickly expatiate on them. Number 1, we are one family, one human family created by God, the ultimate reality. The highest qualities of human beings are spiritual and moral. Number 3, the family is the school of love and peace. Number 4, living for the sake of others helps reconcile the divided human family. And number 5, peace comes through cooperation beyond boundaries of race, ethnicity, religion, and nationality. Number 1, let's look at very quickly this first principle, which says we are one human family created by God, the ultimate reality. When you look at our world, you discover that no matter what religion you belong to, everybody talks about God. Everybody wants to align with God. And we also discover that the central point of relationship between human beings and God is based on God's parental heart. And this is very important. And no matter what religion we practice, if we don't have this as the center, for our pursuit for peace, it will be very difficult because the parental heart enables you to overcome your differences with whoever you interact with. And so this is something we really need to reflect on. We can discover this, or we can find this, based on the religious teachings. Religious teachings actually allude to this. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to. For example, if we look at some few selected religious teachings, you find out that they all have similar thoughts, similar ideas, similar vision, similar perception. Have we not one Father? Has not one God made us all? That is, you find that in Jewish and Christian scriptures. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You can find that in Christianity. All human creatures are God's children, and those dearest to God are those who treat his children kindly. Finally, this in Islam, according to hadith of Baha'i. And thou art father, mother, friend, brother, with thee as succorer in all places. What fear have I? Find this in Sikhism, according to Adi Grant. You men are all my children, and I am your father. This is in Buddhism, Lotus Sutra. Heaven and earth are the father and mother of the 10,000 things. Men are the sensibility of the 10,000 things, according to Confucianism, the book of history. God, give us wisdom as a father gave to his sons. Guide us, O much invoked, in this path. May we live in life. This is in Hinduism. It is amazing. You know, this tells us that no matter what faith we belong to, we are completely one, centered on God. Number two, the second principle, the highest qualities of human beings are spiritual and moral. Every human being is a being that is made of mind and body. Also, we all know that. And our aim, our goal, according to divine principle, is to attain happiness. And how do we attain happiness? Because that affects the society that we live in because of our relationship with others. So we seek for internal satisfaction through seeking for truth, beauty, goodness, and love. And also for physical well-being, to be able to survive. We seek for food, shelter, wealth, and comfort. When you actually, harmonize this, you discover that as a human being, you can attain happiness. As human beings, we aspire to achieve our potential and develop our character. This is the first goal. Go and study, and then, according to a true parent's teaching, the divine principle talks about, three, the purpose of creation, the three aspects. And you can find it here. Achieve our potential and develop our character. Build loving relationships and family bonds. Make a difference by contributing to the society. This is basically, why we need each other. In fact, this is where you can also find in Ubuntu. It's amazing. Because the highest qualities of human beings are spiritual and moral, we aspire to develop our character, build loving relationships, make a difference where we live, and contribute to a better world. According to religious allusions, we can find this thinking, this concept in every religion. Then the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Jewish and Christian scriptures. And he originated the creation of man out of clay. Then he fashioned his progeny of an extraction of mean water, then shaped him and breathed his spirit in him, according to Islam. Now my breath and spirit goes to the immortal, and this body ends in ashes. Oh mine, remember the deeds, remember the actions, according to Hinduism. Even ornamental royal chariots wear out, so too the body reaches old age. But the Dharma of the good grows not old. According to Buddhism, all shrewd businessmen do only profitable business, deal only in that commodity which shall accompany you after death, according to Sikhism. The third principle is about the family is the school of love. Well, if we look at very clearly, nobody can deny the fact that the family is the foundation of our society. The third universal principle is that the family is the school of peace and love. We learn many things in life, and our educational system conveys important knowledge to our youth. But the most important education is the education of the heart. The most important thing that we need to learn as human beings is how to give and receive love, how to get along as brothers and sisters. These lessons are best learned in family. And we can look at the religious allusions to this because of time. The family is the cornerstone of world peace. It bridges cultures, supporting peaceful nations, and it is the basis for empathy for others. Religious teachings alluding to this include, he who loves his wife as himself, who honors her more than himself, who rears his children in the right path, and who marries them off at the proper time of their life. Concerning him, it is written, and you will know that your home is at peace, according to Judaism. Among his signs is that he created spouses for you among yourselves, that you may console yourselves with them. He has planted affection and mercy between you, according to the Holy Quran. Supporting one's father and mother, cherishing wife and children, and a peaceful occupation. This is the greatest blessing, according to Buddhism. I am here, you are, I am he, you are she. I am song, you are verse. I am heaven, you are earth. We two shall here together dwell, becoming parents of children, according to Hinduism. And now, let us look at the fourth principle, living for the sake of others. Yeah, this surely will reconcile the divided humanity. We exist in and through relationships, through giving and receiving. Broken relationships are healed through investment, through the principles of Ubuntu. The fourth principle is that living for the sake of others enables reconciliation of the divided human family. It's a very simple principle, but one that we tend to forget and fail to apply. In an individualistic society, people are encouraged to think about me and be concerned about themselves first. But this fundamentally misses the basic principle of reciprocity in our world of interdependence, in serving the purpose of the whole, in living for others. The purpose of the individual is naturally included because we are part of the whole. Let me just go to the religious allusions to this so that we can finish. All men are responsible for one another, according to Judaism. Give, and it will be given to you. For the measure you give will be the measure you receive. Christianity. Give not to gain, and be patient unto thy Lord, according to the Quran, Holy Quran, Islam. The man of perfect virtue, wishing to be established himself, seeks also to establish others. Wishing to be enlarged himself, he seeks also to enlarge others. This is Confucianism. The ignorant work for their own profit. Arjuna. The wise work for the welfare of the world without thought to themselves, according to Hinduism. The last principle. Peace comes through cooperation beyond boundaries of ethnicity, religion, and nationality. The final principle says that peace comes through cooperation beyond the boundaries of ethnicity, religion, and nationality. Religious traditions are the bedrock and beginning point of cultures. We also know that in our world today, there are glaring examples of great violence done in the name of religion. However, each religious tradition contains wisdom that helps create a common ground for people of faith to cooperate for the common good. According to religious teachings to back this up, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples, Isaiah. If possible, so far as it depends upon you, live peaceably with all Christianity. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you might know each other, not that you might despise each other. This is beautiful. This is according to Holy Quran. Let us have concord with our own people and concord with people who are strangers to us. Hinduism. When the great Tao prevailed, the world was a common world. Men of talent and virtue were selected. Mutual confidence was emphasized, and brotherhood was cultivated. I think this is where I will end. So I think eventually we will share this, because if we tap from the spiritual potentials, we realize that religious tradition teach compassion, love for one's neighbor, and consideration for those in need. The power to end the cycles of resentment, violence, and retribution comes from an internal spiritual source. The highest expression of love for others is the commitment to love one's enemy. Thank you very much, everybody.
We are looking at the Ubuntu's a blueprint for interfaith cooperation. And looking at Ubuntu's philosophy, we have seen clearly that all religion in the world have one goal, one view: peace, love, relationship, restoration, good relationship with one another. Now, Ubuntu's philosophy says, I am because we are. I am because we are. That this means that every person is valuable and deserves respect regardless of belief, tradition, or stature. Humanity is not shared. Humanity is shared, not earned. Ubuntu's philosophy promotes peace, forgiveness, and restoration of relationship rather than revenge and division. Let's take few of the religions and begin to see their motive and begin to see their intentions. Let me begin with Christianity. We see in Christianity, aligned with the Ubuntu philosophies, I am because we are. And then the goal of Christianity, according to Christ Jesus, is to bring all mankind together in perfect unionship with God. In John chapter 3, verse 16, the Bible says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." So the purpose of Christianity is to unite all men back to God. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 19, the Bible says, "To wit, God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto him." In Islam, we still see oneness. We still see cooperation. Like in Islam, let me quote about two Quran chapters and verses. In Quran, chapter 19, verse 13, chapter 49, verse 13, it says, "O mankind, we created you for one pay, made into nation and tribe to know one another." That is love, that is cooperation, meaning that all human beings, irrespective and regardless of their tradition and their belief, came from one source. In Quran again, chapter 5, verse 32, it says, "Whosoever save one life, it is as if he has saved all mankind." And so there is no reason for violence because of one belief or one tradition or one religion. And so all these religions seek for peace and cooperation and relationship so that we could be able to live together and we could see that all of them have a proper direction from God. Then we look at the Hinduism. The Hindus believe in oneness. They believe that the world is a family. So if the world and everybody coming together is a family, there should not be any issue of conflict, violence, and revenge upon one another in the name of religion. Then we look at the Buddhism. Buddhism believes strongly that hatred does not cease hatred, but by love, and this is eternal rule. Now, we have seen that all this religion has one thing in common: love, peace, relationship, and restoration of peace among one another. And so if all these religions are able to educate their followers very well, we will conquer conflict and revenge and fighting in the name of religion. In summary, across Christianity, Islam, Hindus, and Buddhism, which I have quoted already, love is central, peace is necessary, cooperation is powerful. Ultimately, we see that in Christianity, Christ Jesus came singular purposely to die to reconcile all men to God by the blood of his life on the cross of Calvary, to redeem every man and restore every man and integrate every man back to the relationship with God. So the Ubuntu philosophy has really helped to unite and to bring all religion together under the oneness of God in Christ Jesus. I really want to appreciate the organizer for the time that given to me to express my thought on this global conference. Thank you, sir. I'm grateful.
We must all accept that we are living in the age of religious pluralism. That is Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and indigenous religions. Of course, we are defined by others and vice versa, meaning we coexist in relationship as brothers and sisters in humanity. And this is part of our interfaith, where love, respect, and coexistence is the principle of our mission. The purpose is to increase our understanding of and respect of other religious system and institution, thereby increasing our appreciation of their beliefs and values. In an African village, the image and likeness of God is revered, and when you add the concept of Ubuntu, you must also connect it to African spirituality, which forms values and good character in a person. It is the African spirituality that shapes the concept of Ubuntu, shaping persons in such a way that they grow into humanness. In other words, an integrated spirituality is spirituality in which who we are and what we do are intimately related. Ubuntu is an African indigenous spirituality, not politics, not culture, not religion, no traditions. One cannot separate Ubuntu from spirituality. Ubuntu postulates that a person is a person through other persons. This is a capacity in an African culture to express compassion, reciprocity, dignity, humanity, and mutuality in the interest of building and maintaining communities with justice and mutual caring. Ubuntu is an African context. Ubuntu, which is central to Afrocentric management, means I am because we are. Ubuntu is an epistemology of African humanism that explains leadership style and management practices that emphasize collectivism as opposed to individualism and competitiveness. Ubuntu is based on values of solidarity, mutuality, generosity, and commitment to community well-being, which focus specifically on strengthening a collective identity and not solely an individual identity. The concept of Ubuntu does not only resonate with spirituality, religion, culture, and tradition. In a nutshell, is I am because we are. And since we are, therefore I am identity and equity. Ubuntu is the palm oil with which faith is consumed. Faith is vertical axis, while Ubuntu horizontal. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
It so happens that for the Baha'i community, the Universal House of Justice, its international governing body, wrote on this topic on the 1st of November 2022, and specifically to the Baha'is of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And in its communication, it stated, each of the hundreds of ethnic groups in your country has a long history, and each has gradually been shaped and reshaped by encounters with other groups and cultures over periods of both peace and conflict. Such a pattern is, of course, not unique to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It is the story of the peoples of the world, a reality on which the Baha'i conception of history sheds much light. As a distinct organic unit, humanity has passed through evolutionary stages that are similar to the stages of infancy and childhood in the lives of its individual members. The divisions and conflicts that have marked relationships among and within various peoples are tendencies of humanity's childhood. Inexorably, however, humanity has been moving forward along the path of its maturation. On this path, it has from one age to the next received impetus from successive divine revelations sent by God to progressively educate and civilize it. Humanity is now in the concluding period of its turbulent adolescence and is going through a period of transition, standing at the threshold of a long-awaited coming of age. Its needs are no longer served by the ideas and behaviors of prior stages. Baha'u'llah has appeared to humanity in this period of its adolescence, when it is in need of maturation. As you are well aware, he has provided the means for the establishing of unity of humankind, the hallmark of a mature world. What will bind the hearts of all peoples together is the power of the Word of God. That Word has generative power, which in every age has provided the means for refining human character and reordering human affairs. The mission of the Baha'is is to learn to apply the revelation of Baha'u'llah in their individual and collective lives and in the life of their society. Through well-ordered efforts and in collaboration with many others who are dedicated to bettering the world, Baha'is bring the principles suited to humanity's age of maturity to bear on the condition of the world's peoples. They strive for the transformation of the inner and outer realities of human life and for the cultivation of spiritual and social conditions that will give rise to a new kind of people and a new society founded on unity. Baha'is undertake this work with instruments and means that are conducive to creating a unified world. They are ever conscious that unity is not only the goal they seek, but the primary means for creating a new and mature society. They thus labor together in serried lines, one locked to the next, each supporting his fellows. They are equipped with pure intent, righteous motives, sincere aims, and faithful hearts. They associate with all the peoples and kindreds of the earth with joy and radiance, with the assurance that consorting with people have promoted and will continue to promote unity and concord. They strive at all times through their actions. They are above all cognizant that the religion of God is for love and unity and should never be made the cause of enmity or dissension, and that the means of order should never become the means of confusion or the instrument of union and occasion for discord. It is only as a united community that you can thrive as promoters of the oneness of humanity. It is important then that you continue to enrich your understanding of how obstacles to unity appear in society. We would like to discuss two such obstacles: the distortion of human identity and the spread of prejudice, in particular ethnic prejudice. We may not have time for the second condition. Let me proceed. At the heart of the divisions in society today is a crisis of identity. The way people think about who they are and how they see their place in the world determine how they relate to others and what they regard as the individual and collective purpose. For Baha'is, it is the manifestation of God, the voice of God to the world, who defines human nature and purpose. Baha'u'llah describes the purpose of human life as essentially spiritual in nature. An individual's true self is to be found in the powers of the soul, which has the capacity to know God and to reflect His attributes. The soul has no gender. The soul has no ethnicity. There's no race. God sees no difference among human beings except in relation to the conscious effort of each individual to purify his or her soul and to express its full powers. In God's sight, all human beings are as one and have the common duty of knowing and worshipping Him and contributing to advancing civilization. This truth is directly related to another, that humanity is one family. A loving Lord has created all humanity from the same stock. He has decreed that all shall belong to the same household. Since we have created you all from the same substance, Baha'u'llah has stated, it is incumbent on you to be even as one soul. to walk with the same feet, eat with the same mouth, and dwell in the same land, that from your inmost being, by your deeds and actions, the signs of oneness and the essence of detachment may be made manifest. The powers of the human soul have throughout history and across the planet been manifested in many forms of custom, knowledge, and culture. This diversity endows the human family with richness, just as differently colored flowers enrich a garden. Diversity gives society natural beauty and strength. Consider, Abdu'l-Baha explains, the flowers of a garden, though differing in kind, color, form, and shape, yet, inasmuch as they are refreshed by the waters of one spring, revived by the breath of one wind, invigorated by the rays of one sun, this diversity increaseth their charm and addeth unto their beauty. In like manner, he adds, when diverse shades of thought, temperament, and character are brought together under the power and influence of one central agency, the beauty and glory of human perfection will be revealed and made manifest. Unity in diversity, not uniformity, is the watchword of Baha'u'llah's teachings. And to end, but consider what a grave obstacle to the unity of the human family is presented by failure to understand the truth of its essential oneness. Any sense of unity that comes from the shared identity of a group becomes the basis of contest with those perceived as other. Humanity is split into competing interest groups, many locked in a fight for dominance. Conceptions of conflicting interests inhibit the collective capacity to transform social conditions and address challenges for the benefit of all. In the religious, social, political, and economic spheres of life, conflict driven by narrow self-interest is deemed natural and inevitable. Rivalry between groups harms all, obstructs justice, and suppresses the potentialities of individuals and groups whose contributions are necessary for the betterment of society. Let us embrace the oneness of humanity for our striving for a better society. I thank you.
Okay.
My presentation is going to be anchored on 3 principles, and that is automatically looking at a shared humanity, interconnectedness, and mutual responsibility. I am a child of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. He worked with my father long time, as my father was equally a politician. But they introduced a principle which is indeed engrafted in me, which is one Zambia and one nation. And we believe that Ubuntu is also anchored on that. I am because we are. So having said that, under shared humanity in Zambia, with all the faiths, we are a model of all the faiths of our Interreligious Association for Peace and Development. In our groupings, we have Jews, we have the Hindus, we have the Muslims, we have the Baha'is, and we have indeed the Christians. So these are spread out all over the country. And you find that there is what we call insaka, especially in the villages, where they place a shelter, a wooden shelter with thatched glass. And indeed there, that's where men meet to rest, to tell stories, and have their meals. So it doesn't matter whether you have a meal or you don't have a meal in your home, it is shared humanity. They go there, they eat, and we believe that my brother is my brother's keeper. And that is the fundamental principle of Ubuntu. If my child is sick in my house and I don't have transport, it is no big deal for me to call my neighbor and say, can we use your transport? So this is how this Ubuntu under shared humanity is. Very quickly, because of time, let me share on interconnectedness, that as faith, interfaith, we are very much interconnected. Irrespective of diverse doctrinal beliefs, we can call upon all of ourselves to say, look, there is need, there is poverty in one area. Can we organize so that at a certain planned date, we go and distribute food? Look, maybe the hospital or the clinic needs to be cleaned. Why don't we buy some paint and give a new face to that clinic or police post? So we are interconnected, which is one fundamental principle of Ubuntu. And finally, it's the mutual responsibility. You may realize that in Zambia, we faced flood. We faced also a drought for a long, long time. But because we are because of the mutual responsibility, we were asking each faith, that faith, they are in dire need. Do you have a bag of maize so that you drop it at their doorsteps so that they can go to the meal and meal it, and that household is helped. So in short, Reverend Gumisi, as our director of this program, I want to urge all the interfaith that right now the answer is the blueprint of Ubuntu or Ubuntu. We are because, I am because we are. The fundamental principles elaborated by our colleagues who spoke before us, if practiced world over, we would not have national conflicts, we would not have continental conflicts, we would not even have conflicts. Why do I say so? I say so simply because our colleagues in the West, they base their fundamental philosophical belief by the dissecants who say, I think, therefore I am. Like somebody shared, this is based on individualism, and it brings about individual making decisions, ending up in wars, ending up in conflicts. So it is our responsibility as interfaith, especially Zambia, to showcase to the rest of the world that Ubuntu is the blueprint for formidable interfaith cooperation. I submit.
Today's webinar is very timely because we keep reminding ourselves using the blueprint of the word Ubuntu. We are because you are. And this shifts our mindset because we know very well that God has blessed all of us in a very diverse ways. And one of the greatest gifts God has given us is spirituality. Even within the shift in the jurisprudence, we need to put the socks up and work as a team, the interfaith coming together, diversity at work. In this way, we are going to succeed and see Africa rising to greater wholesome. Indeed, it gives me great pleasure to know that good things are happening and the future is great. as interfaith leaders, when we come together with our expertise and the areas that we know how to do it better, leaving nobody behind, leaving no African country behind, that is how we are going to succeed. It is not a time in Africa when we only need to subscribe to those whom listens together with our faith, but we need to embrace and ensure that we work together with the different faiths so that we can be able to have a very strong pillar in Africa. For a long time, Africa, we've been left behind. But I want to believe with all my heart, dear leaders who are here, that when we work very closely, help each other, support each other for one common goal, we are going to succeed. And the generations that are to come, they will read our history. So whatever we are going through now, doing it, let's be encouraged. Let us subscribe to the wall of peace, knowing that indeed we are on the right track. I want to appreciate Dr. Atebe Mboni. When Mother Moon invited us to South Korea not long ago, and we were able to listen to her keenly, the vision that they started, and how she was able to bring quite a number of leaders from different countries coming together in the name of peace, that touched my heart. And to crown it all, when Dr. Mboni took to speak, there is one thing that he kept repeating. Dr. Mboni, I remember in South Korea, that wonderful evening, you spoke passionately and you said with humility, if African we can work as a team, the future is greater. And this is where I want to echo with our slogan of saying, Africa, Africa. We need to rise beyond our limitations as Africa continent and continue serving effectively. When we were in Niger, the same time, at the Mahatma Gandhi Conference Hall, and again we saw the potential that we have as Africa. Mine today is indeed to encourage all of us to continue soldiering on, because spirituality is indeed one of the greatest gifts and a spiritual asset God has given all of us. We may not do the same way, but all of us, we believe we are a family under one God. And may the Lord continue blessing us and helping us, even as we champion, as we keep the torch burning, and to ensure the generation to come will look back us and say, indeed, we are a team that pioneered this. So to me, this is a great webinar, and indeed we need to go higher and embrace and subscribe the wisdom of our traditional leaders, the wisdom of opinion leaders, the wisdom of the young people, so that we can be able to mentor them. They continue with the same legacy that we leave behind. So to me, this IBD webinar today is a great honor, and I want to say we need to have more of this so that we can be able to move to greater heights. Everything has a cost, and we don't need to fold our hands. Spiritual leaders, we have a great mandate, and if we subscribe very well to the issues around us and take our position, use both the constitution, the spiritual authority, we are able to solve a lot of conflicts within our region. Finally, dear distinguished members, here in Kenya, we have of late continued to strongly subscribe to Article 159 of the Kenyan Constitution 2010, whereby the Constitution has given us the power to make sure we explore other methods of solving conflicts rather than the litigation way. And it is working so well, bringing everybody on board, using traditional mechanism, using spiritual leaders and opinion leaders to ensure we solve conflicts. And if we continue like this, I have no doubt that indeed peace will be our portion. So to all of us who have gotten time to be in this webinar, I take this opportunity to appreciate you. And once again, thank you so much, our chair, as you continue leading us. Africa. Africa. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless you.
Ubuntu or Ubuntu in Sesotho is far more than a cultural expression. It is a philosophical framework that defines what it means to be human. At its heart is the conviction that moto ke moto ka batho. You're a person becomes a person through other persons. The worldwide view teaches us that our dignity is co-created, our well-being is interdependent, and our humanity is fulfilled through service to others. In this conversation, we explore Ubuntu as a moral alternative to the hyper-individualism and the structural inequality that shape our world today across the global South. Communities continue to face legacies of colonial extraction, economic exclusion, and what many scholars define as a global apartheid, a global order where wealth, mobility, and opportunity remain racially and geographically stratified. Now, I'm going to skip some sections so I can just stick with the facts around my conversation today. And economic exclusion is the context of Ubuntu. It viewed not merely as a regulation of the interconnectedness and the mutual dignity that Ubuntu espouses. When individuals or communities are denied access to economic participation, they are cut off from social bonds that define personhood and collective well-being. Ubuntu teaches that prosperity must be shared and that exclusion undermines both individual and communal fulfillment. Ubuntu stands as a moral critique of these systems, insisting that no human being is deposable or no community is peripheral. Central to Ubuntu is the ethic of self-service. In African ethics, service is not charity and not an act of moral heroism. It is the fulfillment of one's humanity. True personhood is realized when our actions uplift others, restore dignity, and strengthen the social fabric. Scholars such as Mohobi, Thaddeus, and Michael Ize emphasizes that moral action is measured not by personal gain, but by the contribution to harmony and solidarity and shared flourishing. Ubuntu also reframes leadership as is not just a dominant or is not domination or self-promotion. It is service as sacred trust. A leader with Ubuntu listens. With a leader with Ubuntu listens, consults, restores, and uplifts. Ethical leadership is measured by how many people rise because of your service, not how high you rise alone. This is the leadership tradition embodied by figures like Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Lutuli. These leaders have taught us the power of humility in leadership, courage, sacrifice, and so on. Finally, Ubuntu offers practical framework for governance, development, and youth empowerment. It calls for participatory decision-making, ethical stewardship of public resources, community-centered development, and restorative approaches to justice. It insists that development must be human-centered, rational, and dignifying to the people who benefit from it. My overarching message is simple but transformative. Service is not what we do, it is who we become. Ubuntu invites us to rebuild the moral architecture of society through selfless services, shared responsibility, and a renewed commitment to the human dignity in the world fractured by inequality. Ubuntu offers a vision of justice, community, and collective flourishing grounded in our shared humanity. In conclusion, I'd like to highlight, as I've listened carefully, that the panelists here present are in agreement that Ubuntu is a service that does not hold any value or monetary value, but a human capital value. It is important that this consensus be carried not as a spiritual message, but as a message of principle. We live and we are when we remain, because we are servicing the cause and otherness, not just selfness, but otherness. Rural areas, you see the shepherd. It's better that Ubuntu is more about being led by the masses of the people into the New Jerusalem, where Ubuntu is central to our existence. It is important that we, by rooting our ethics and actions in the spirit of Ubuntu, we affirm that our humanity is linked to our well-being and the well-being of others, making solidarity and caring not only desirable but necessary for a just and harmonious society. Now, I want to conclude with the following words. In the beginning, and I'm emphasizing this, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, when God breathed into us, we became a living spirit. We didn't become man and woman, we became a spirit. And that's where the spirit and the power of our existence is. And when we treat each other as a living spirit, we respect each other more and treat each other more with dignity. Thank you for your time.
I'm truly privileged to have the opportunity to make these closing remarks as we conclude our timely and important webinar. To begin with, I want to really extend my heartfelt congratulations to IAPD Africa, its leaders, and all its collaborators for bringing together this remarkable interfaith gathering centered around such a meaningful theme, Ubuntu, a blueprint for interfaith cooperation. I also commend the speakers whose insight and spiritual dedication have greatly enriched this conference, as well as all the attendees from various nations and faiths across Africa and beyond. Your participation today demonstrates that interfaith collaboration is not just achievable, but it is essential. The topic of today's webinar carries significant weight. At its core, Ubuntu conveys the profound ideas that I am because we are, as many have said before me. It emphasizes our interconnectedness, our interconnected humanity, illustrating that my dignity is intertwined with yours, and that the well-being of one community is linked to the well-being of another. In this regard, Ubuntu transcends being merely an African philosophy. It represents a moral vision, a spiritual imperative, and indeed serves as a practical framework for fostering interfaith cooperation. This is a message desperately needed in a world that continues to suffer under the weight of misunderstanding, polarization, intolerance, and division. While our faith tradition can differ in doctrine, in ritual, or expression, they intersect in some of the deepest values, which are compassion, justice, service, reconciliation, human dignity, and peace. Our commonalities cannot reside solely in our sermons or faith communities, but must manifest themselves at the levels of society. From there, they should be transformed into relationships, from relationship to cooperation, and from cooperation to action. So, which is why I want to specifically applaud IAPD Africa for sustaining the dialogue space between religious leaders, spiritual leaders, so that they meet, hear one another out, respect one another, and work together towards the common good. Africa is a deeply spiritual continent. Many say that. And this is one of our greatest strengths. If our spiritual and religious leaders unite with humility, wisdom, and mutual respect, they can help heal divisions, guide the younger generations, strengthen families, and significantly contribute to peaceful, sustainable development across our continent. Today's theme challenges us to move beyond simple tolerance. Tolerance is good, of course, but Ubuntu calls us to do something greater, which is solidarity. It invites us not only to accept one another from a distance, but to recognize that we truly need each other. It encourages us to listen closely, value each tradition's wisdom, and work together to address the daily challenges our people face, which are poverty, violence, family breakdown, youth frustration, inequality, and environmental degradation. My dear brothers and sisters, at this important moment, I want to make a humble appeal. I encourage the religious leaders and spiritual leaders within IAPD Africa to take a more active role in the 100 Days campaign. Engage your communities in concrete actions for peace, moral renewal, service, and social harmony. This way, interfaith cooperation can move beyond a beautiful idea discussed in this conference and some other conferences to a living reality in our churches, our mosques, our temples, our ministries, families, and our neighborhoods. I believe IAPD has a unique role in this campaign of 100 days. Why? Because it can draw on the wisdom, the credibility, and the widespread foundation of Africa's spiritual and religious leaders. If IAPD leaders mobilize their followers and communities, the 100 Days campaign can create a deeper impact, not only on our members, but also on the society beyond our denominations. So this is how we can put Ubuntu into action. This is how we can make interfaith cooperation visible, practical, and transformative. If each religious leader here takes just one concrete step with their communities during this campaign, together we can spark a wave of hope, service, reconciliation, and spiritual awakening across Africa. So on behalf of UPF Africa, I really want to congratulate IAPD Africa for this excellent initiative. I commend Chairman Khadebe, Regional Coordinator Gomsi, Secretary General CBC, the organizing team, all the presenters and leaders across the continent. Thank you for investing your time, your heart, and spiritual energy into this important work. I also want to express UPF Africa's appreciation and congratulations for IAPD's consistent role in promoting the vision of one family under one creator, where believers of different faiths can live and work together in harmony and mutual respect. This vision is not only noble, it is necessary for Africa's future. As we conclude, let us not allow today's inspiration to fade. Let us carry it into our communities, back to our communities. Let us teach Ubuntu, not just with words, but by example. Let us become builders of trust, healers of wounds, bridges between communities, and servants of peace. May God, our heavenly parent, bless your effort. May God bless Africa, and may our different faith communities continue to work together for peace, development, and our shared future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Program Director, with that warm welcome. I'm really moved by the speakers of today. Before I perhaps maybe end up delaying this webinar, let me rather stick on what I have been requested to share with you of what is happening with IAPD. We have had a number of activities under the banner of Africa Spiritual Day, where we were held special prayers from different synagogues, different churches. Now, we do have a calendar for the year. This is basically our first webinar, which we're holding it today, about Ubuntu, a blueprint for interfaith cooperation. And really, really grateful to all the leaders that have embraced us with their presence today. Truly appreciate it. Okay, we will be posting more further information on our website, where we would like all of you just to follow us. Like in May, the month of May, we're looking at holding the Africa Spiritual Day, which will be held in South Africa or Mozambique or Zimbabwe. Okay, the actual venue have not been confirmed, but it will be Mozambique or either in Zimbabwe. Okay, on June 14, we will having the Africa Spiritual Day, which will be held in Liberia on the 14th of June. Okay, so we have planned 2 events in June. Okay, and the other one, it will be towards the end of June, which will be in Nigeria. Okay, in July, we will announce as we move along. We penciled down that July will have another webinar, which will be sort of in the same format like today's webinar. In August, we're going to have a Youth and Today Challenges in Zambia. So there's an event that is planned. So once again, we will share the information on our website once the final date have been confirmed, but it will definitely going to take place in August. In September, we have an activity that is planned by Burkina Faso, Spiritual Value as a Foundation of World Peace. Okay, that is Africa Spiritual Day theme as well. In November, we have planned just to have another event in Mali, Science and Religion, what role for sustainable peace? That will be the theme of Africa Spiritual Day in Mali. The last event, which is planned for Côte d'Ivoire, which they were not happy about us putting them in December, because they said they looking forward to host the Africa Spiritual Day in Côte d'Ivoire. Okay, living for the sake of others, foundation of volunteerism. Okay, so is a theme, is an African Spiritual Day theme. Just to share with our special guest today, tomorrow, okay, there is a WCLC conference, okay, which is starting tomorrow. Okay, it's going to start tomorrow. It's going to end on the 4th of May. As we come here online, I've asked them if there is any link unfortunately, is more of like a very close conference, but we just thought that it is relevant that we alert you of our other sister companies are doing WCLC conference starting tomorrow until the 4th of May. Those are the announcements which I have here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Komsi. I think because of time, but I just want to respond on few points which were raised. Okay, the politics and the religious leaders, politicians and religious leaders working together is the part of IAPD, Africa Office Plan. As you have known that we are busy planning a trip or different trips for the chairman of IAPD to visit the African countries. So there's one of the panelists that mentioned something that when we sit in this format, we actually talking to ourselves, you know. So I'm responding to that to say that it is true. That's why we, as an IAPD office, we initiated or we have proposed a visit to Africa where we will meet with the political figures together with religious figures. It cannot say without saying the word of wisdom that we have received today, and they're not going to go unnoticed. President of UPF Africa, Ambassador Adama, thank you very much for all the words that you've given to us. We will make sure that we'll follow it through. I just want to comment to all the speakers, okay, and say spirituality and Ubuntu go hand in hand. They are inseparable, okay? On behalf of IAPD Chairman Imboni Dr. Uzulezwe Khadebe, serving under the leadership of True Mother, Mother of Peace, thank you all speakers who contributed so meaningfully to the theme of Ubuntu Blueprint to Interfaith Cooperation. Your reflection reminded us that living for the sake of others is not just an ideal, but it's a responsibility we share. Ubuntu cannot be separated from spirituality. It calls us to recognize our deep interconnectedness, that our humanity is bound up in one another. Across different faith traditions, this truth echoes compassion, service, and mutual respect are at the heart of who we are meant to be. We must accept that we have a duty to care for, we have a duty to support and uplift one another. Together, these values remind us that I am because we are, and call us to live with compassion, respect, and shared responsibilities. As we live here today, may we carry forward this spirit, choosing understanding over division, and living in ways that uplift others, especially within our schools and the community. Africa.
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 Thank you.
Okay.